and you are very passionate about helping people to figure out how to make a living and from their work, and you recognise that it's really, really, really difficult to make one-of-a-kind work. And you've written a book, Humour in Craft. You love craft.
Yeah.
You love work that has conceptual and interesting, well, maybe not conceptual, that has interesting content. It's not just a commission.
Simply because I don't do it doesn't mean I don't like it or don't appreciate it. You know, it's just that the personal work that I do is not conceptual.
Yeah.
But
what advice
like
would you give to someone who was making,
conceptual
who wanted
work?
to do that, who wanted to try and make work that was expressive and make money out of it? Let's call it what it is.
Oh my God, how much time do you
Yeah.
have? So basically this is it, you know, and this doesn't make me a little bit popular, but I'm going to say it anyhow, right? I think that picture yourself going into a store, right? And then, you know, there's a ton of stuff out there. What do you buy? You guys, what do you buy? You buy things that you have some sort of connection to. It could be a connection, you know, you see, let's say you see a ring, and that ring stirs an emotion in you. It could be something that has to do with your personal upbringing, with your history, with the place that you live, with your partnership status at the time. Any kind of connection that you make with a piece. And that would be, you know, could also be considerations like, does it fit me? Does it look good on me? Does it look good on my wall? Will my friends think this is a cool thing? You know, do my friends recognize me if I wear this, or will this be completely out of character? Will my spouse or partner or significant other think I'm completely crazy spending all this money on this? Does this look good on me? Can I afford it? Do I want to afford it? Those are all questions that you ask yourself kind of very quickly, and then you come to a decision. And as you've noticed, all of the questions that I've just asked, they're all about me. They're not about the artist. And honestly, as a buyer, for the most part, I couldn't give crap about how much blood, sweat, and tears goes into your work. Because it's not about you as a buyer, it's all about me. And this is where the disparity comes in when you use your work to express your emotions and where you are as an artist and the things, you know, that you want to express, and you find that the response on the other end is not as enthusiastic as you hoped, and you're kind of just trying to figure out what do they don't get, right? That is a typical artist dilemma, right? That they think they have a message and they want to express something, and the other side isn't receptive to it. And that's where the disconnect and the unhappiness comes in. And the best advice that I can give is, by all means, create the work that you want to create. Always. Always do the work that's really important to you. But don't expect other people will get it, that they will like it or appreciate it. The only chance that you have is if you're able to make an emotional connection, or if the work is able to make an emotional connection with the buyer. That's your only chance. But you standing there telling them how important this work is and how much time you spent on it, or even in my case, how skilled it is, doesn't necessarily give you the response that you want.
Do you still have your brick and mortar location?
Please say that again.
Do you still have your brick and mortar location?
I don't have it anymore because I moved to Chicago. And
are you planning on starting a new one?
I may not, because I'm really busy. I do like 6 things at the same time. I closed the brick and mortar because I got a contract to write the book. Okay. And I had Crafthause going at the time. I had the brick and mortar, and then I got a contract for the book, and I needed to get the book done in a year. I needed to send it to the publisher in a year, and I hadn't done squat. I mean, I proposed the idea to them, and they said, "Oh, hey, yeah, you know, can you deliver next week?" And I said, "No, I actually need a year." So I had to. At some point, I had to just decide to do one thing and make that my best effort. And because I had Crafthause going and it was growing, and you know, and I had the gallery that was growing, and then I had the book contract. I had to let go of the brick and mortar because it was quite expensive to run a brick and mortar.
Did someone else buy it, or did it just fold?
I just folded it. I folded it because I needed to go out very quickly in order to get on the book deal. You know, so I'm looking at what I do, and I encourage everybody to consider it. Is I look at what I do as running a business, right? I'm running a business, and to that end, I need to bring in money reliably, and that's why I'm doing like 5 or 6 things at the same time. And if something, you know, is not as busy, I still have 5 other things going on at the same time that make me money. And I have to, you know, create income every month. It's not a one-off thing twice a year where you make a sale and we be. No, every month.
But also a lot of the work you're doing is for free. You're doing a lot of voluntary work.
I do a lot of volunteering.
Yeah, but being a very pragmatic person, you obviously think it's worthwhile doing that, and it must contribute to your business.
Everything that you do, the more you put into it, usually the more you get out of it.
Right.
And I'm a big believer in service. I'm a big believer in doing something that's bigger than myself and something that's bigger than my own self-interest. Right? And this is why I like to volunteer, because I usually actually get more out of it than I put in. So the time is well spent, very well spent. So I enjoy it.
Could you say a bit more about the book and how it came to be and how you actually pulled it off? If you don't want to, you don't have to.
No, sure. So the book is Humor and Craft. And what happened was when I started Crafthause, you know, you see a lot of images that artists send you and then post online, and every now and then I saw something that was funny. In either the size was outrageous, or the color was outrageous, the materials just didn't match up, or the topic was funny, just really funny. And I started privately, you know, just kind of collecting this on my computer, and all of a sudden I had this collection of images that I thought funny. And I don't know, you know, I just thought maybe there's a book out where I could learn some more about humor and craft. And I looked around, and there was a book about humor in the pulpit. And I think somebody wrote, not really for me, and then somebody wrote about humor in art, general, fine art.
Right.
There was nothing in craft or in jewelry whatsoever. And I thought, okay, all right, I'll do it. And I wrote to a publisher and got turned down. They said, no, this will never fly. We're not doing it. And I thought, okay, well, I'll try another publisher then. And
who's the publisher?
The first one was Lark Books.
Oh, they said no.
They said no, and I said, okay, fine. And then I wrote to Schiffer, Public Publishing, and they said, yes, can you deliver next week? And I said, no, I need a year. And then that's what I did. And the interesting thing was, at the time when I wrote the book in 2010, and sent it to the publisher 2011. It was sent it to the publisher 2011. It was then it came on the market in 2012. What I found out at the time was that there was actually a lot of funny craft work around, and sometimes people really didn't mean it to be funny. It just happened along the way. It just happened along the way, and they were a little bit ashamed about it. And they said, you know, humor is not really an academic topic. It wasn't a valid topic at any of the art schools, because apparently the thinking was, if it's funny, it can't be serious work. So people were hiding it. It wasn't really bubbling to the surface. And because they felt that if they would show humorous work, that people would think they're not serious artists.
Right.
I have no business with that. Right? None whatsoever. And I just thought, let's just bring it out.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
And that book has done really well for you, hasn't it? You travelled, and you still travel and talk about it, don't you?
Yes, I do. I got 2 national book prizes for it, and then I had 2 exhibitions. One was the jewelry from the book toured, and then I did a mixed media, you know, ceramics and wood and what have you, that also toured the United States. Yeah.
Are you
That was
going
fun.
to do another book?
Oh God, it's so much work. I don't recommend that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A baby, maybe in a few years down the road, but
Yeah.
not right now. I'm too busy doing
Yeah.
other things.
Does anyone else have a question? Patsy?
Are you a one-woman show with Crafthause?
Yes, it's all me. Everything that you see, I put there, with the exception of when people write blogs on their own. That kind of posts automatically, but everything that you see, the masthead, everything I put there and make decisions on. I edit all the images that come on just to have, a baseline of quality images on there.
How many members have you got?
Like 1,700, something like that. And so I just make sure, it's never been an issue, but I also make sure that the conversations that take place are respectful and that nobody is dragging anybody down. We do have people that discuss things with each other from the opposite end of things, and that's fine. You have to have these open conversations. But I make sure that they don't get out of hand. It's not like Facebook, where it's basically a free-for-all, right? You have artists who just post a picture on there, and then they let it rip, right? They let it rip. No regard for the person on the other end, where they are on their artistic development. The person usually cannot defend him or herself, and they just let it rip. And, half the Facebook world just goes, yeah, bravo, you show them. And I'm just thinking, really? Who died and made you Elvis? Seriously? Right? If you really want to make things better, and very often criticism is good, and people want to make things better. But this is my policy at SNAG, Society for North American Goldsmiths. I'm fine with criticism. You can criticize me all day long. But if you criticize me, I want to have 3 good solutions from you as well. Otherwise, I don't want to hear about it, right? Just people coming at me saying, oh, your last conference really sucked, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, fine, so it sucked. Okay, 3 things how to make it better. Otherwise, I'm not even listening, right? Because I want results, and I want to make things better. And that's a way for me to really make it better, and then also involve the other person in the process of making it better. Because everybody can stand on a pedestal and say, this stinks, I'm not okay with this, but it takes actual work to make it better. And I'm not interested in complaints, I'm interested in solutions.
What do you want to do in SNAG? What are the goals or the challenges?
As the president?
Yes, President.
Well, for me, it's I've been on the board for 4 years now, so I've done all that board stuff. For me, the most important thing is always the person. I'm interested in people and what it is that they want. SNAG is a membership organization, and yes, I have to make certain decisions as the leader of such an organization, but to me, the people that I'm actually making the decisions for are the most important part. So nothing would make me happier with having more conversations with more people. And I'm very accessible. People write me email all the time, and then they have criticism or have suggestions, and then I'm trying to get them involved in the organization in order to make the change that they want to see happen.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want solutions for them, right? I want to be helpful in that way. That to me is the most important thing. Yes, I do have a fiduciary responsibility as a board member, and especially as a president. I deal with all kinds of, things that are pleasant, unpleasant, that come with being in such a position. But to me, it's always about the person. And the members, and how I can be helpful.
What would you encourage people to go to the conference this year that's going to be in New Orleans?
New Orleans next year, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do
Conferences,
you get out of it?
community.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you get community. You enter into a room and everybody gets you.
Yeah.
People where they work, you meet people who like what you like. I mean, what could be better, right? Let me tell you, I'm married to an attorney, okay? He's a smart guy, very educated. in a certain way. When I talk to him about the work that I do, after 5 seconds, his eyes glaze over. After 10 seconds, they roll over in his head. And then he goes, my God, you're nuts, right? Because this is not his community. And he's not a stupid guy, right? But when I come into this role, I look at Dana and I don't even have to introduce anything. I just go, Dana. And she gets it, right? And so would any of you. And that's the difference. And then in addition, oh my God, you know, there are so many people there that you may have seen in your online life.
Mm-hmm.
You just walk straight up to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really matter if it's, you know, somebody who's just starting out in their career or somebody who's a past president or really big name. I'm no big name, right? Really big name. Everybody's just there to be helpful and collegial, and you just ask your questions and they will answer. It's a very welcoming community. There are exhibitions, there's a trunk show, but it's really, for me, just the get-together of people who like what I like. I cannot get this any other way than showing up in person. I mean, you can get a lot online, and I'm certainly, you know, doing it, but there's nothing that beats this experience, nothing.
Can I ask a quick follow-up to that? And so how would you relate that to, or I'm not sure exactly, how much of your career you spent in Europe versus, you know, now in the United States and North America, North American Goldsmiths Society? What does that community look like in Europe?
It's a little bit more fractured and more localized, I would say. We do have guilds, and most bigger cities have guilds for their craft
In
field.
the US or
In Europe.
In Europe.
In Europe, but it's more traditional and more local and more localized. The work is also more traditional over in Europe still.
Expressive.
Yeah, when I came to the States, I was really blown away by the freedom of expression over here. I really, that took me by surprise. Because we do not have a lot of information over in Europe about what you guys are doing here. Sometimes I think there's more information over here of what we're doing over there, but not enough going the other way around, right? So that was a big pleasant surprise to me. The freedom of expression, the freedom to just take any old material and do whatever you want with it. I thought that was amazing. I love that. And that comes through the art school system that you have, for sure.
Right.
You know, you would not get this through a traditional upbringing.
And so what about that kind of respect for materials? I mean, we've been talking in our workshop a little bit lately about, you know, quality of workmanship, and not necessarily materials, but that can kind of come into play, and just about educating buyers about buying good workmanship. You know what?
Very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard over here. Very hard over here. It's not so hard in Europe because we do have the traditional apprenticeship system and the skills and the trades, and you know, in the skills I include plumbing, electricity work, right? Where over here, you sometimes people come to your house and you really are not so sure, right? But over there, they really know what they're doing and they're valued, right? If you have a plumber as a friend, oh my God, you're a happy camper. And these people are able to make a living of their work, right? So there is a high regard for skills and for traditionally. For traditional skills, it's a completely different regard for the people who work with their hands versus over here. I sometimes am under the impression that it's not valued as much. And with your question with regard to materials, if people don't learn in high school, usually, if there's no shop anymore, if the parents don't do any kind of handicraft in the home, how is anybody supposed to know about it, right? It's an opportunity for us makers to become involved as a group. You guys are a fairly big group. If you decided, and I'm just shooting off the hip here, you know, this is, you know, just coming to me, but if you, I don't know how many guys are you in your organization? 60 or something?
Yeah.
Let's say you have 60 people, you pick one school, just one. and approach that school and say, we know how to do this, and we would offer this knowledge for free once a month. One of us comes to your school and teaches your kids something with metal. You could totally do this, right? And who knows what you spark. Most people, or many people, get a spark in their high school years because they're being exposed to something they have no clue even existed. It's an opportunity. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. Anybody can do this. All you need is the willingness to spend a little time. With 60 people over a year, I mean, come on, you know, how hard can it be? And it's a way for you to teach something that you know. And I think teaching is really the most noble profession there is. And, you know, you don't know what you are able to create in somebody else's life by giving a little bit of yourself. So that would be a way to do it. And then you can talk about material, and then you can talk to skill at a point in these people's lives when their mind is open, right? Because the older they get and the more set in their ways they get, the harder it is to get certain messages across. But at that point in time, everything's open. And they would actually be able to do things, right? They're not too young to, you know, that's what I would do.
And it's not going to be an overnight transformation.
No, it's
This
not.
is a long term.
It's long term, but they're going to talk among their peers, they're going to talk to their parents,
Yeah.
and who knows?
I was just wondering, do you have any suggestions on educating more your potential customers on the value of one's work? Because it's not easy.
It is certainly not easy. You can try, but I think it's not in the realm of their experience. So most likely you're going to talk about something that they don't understand. I was just on a cruise ship with my mom, right? A whole week on a cruise ship with my mother, which was lovely. There was some hardcore selling going on that cruise ship, mind-boggling, the crap people bought. And people buy what they want to have, right? And in some people, a marketing approach about quality will strike a chord. In most people, it won't, because they don't know the difference, because they're obviously buying crap, not knowing any better, right? So my advice would be to have this be a secondary discussion when you think somebody is already making an emotional connection to the work and just may need a little push, but I wouldn't really make this the big seller, simply because in most cases the audience won't know the difference. And I think it's easier to make an emotional connection than to make a hardcore sale over quality.
What is jewelry for you? What do you consider jewelry?
Everything that you can wear on the body and then put on the work. I mean, I'm really open. You know, something that you wear to adorn yourself and to express a facet of your personality with. That's jewelry for me. And I don't care about the material, even though I'm very traditional and this is what I make. But I love untraditional materials. I don't judge. If it works for the person who wears it, it's fine.
You have a collection of, you collect jewellery.
Yeah.
So
Anything.
how many pieces have you got in your collection?
I have no idea.
Loads. And you've got stuff from
Everybody.
Charles Newton Rain.
Yes. Yes. I got
I
one of yours.
She's got one of mine.
I buy what I like. I'm like everybody. It's not like,
Yeah,
you know,
and
I
it's all
buy.
different.
It's all
really
different.
different stuff
Sometimes
you have.
it's funny and I think, oh, haha, this is funny. Oh, yeah, you know, funny is me. Okay, I'll get it, right? Sometimes it's because I really like the person and I want to have
Yeah.
a work.
Yeah.
It's broad, but I really buy to please me. What strikes a chord in me, and yeah, do I like it, yes or no? You know, and then I don't care if this is a student work or if this is a work of, you know, somebody who's been decades in the field. I don't care. If the work is not for me, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying to impress anybody. I'm just buying to please myself, which is what most people do, if they have the money to do it.
Any other questions?
What about wearability though? I see a lot of art jewelry that looks totally not wearable or ridiculously fragile. Is that, what do you think about that?
So,
Does it matter?
no.
Okay.
Because why would it matter? It doesn't matter to me. I'm not buying it. I'm not wearing it. But I'm totally fine with people creating artwork.
Would you buy work that was unwearable?
If I liked it,
Right.
if I thought, yeah, you know, if it would please me, if I thought, oh, this looks really interesting, and yes, I would be willing to spend my money on it. Yes, of course I would buy it.
Mm.
But it all comes down to me and not you. So wearability, I would not buy work that falls apart easily or that kind of disintegrates quickly. I would look for durability, but I'm not a collector of conceptual work. I collect work that I like.
Have you ever done an exhibition of your collection?
No.
It's like I'm really intrigued.
It's wild. It's wild. A little bit of everything.
That makes it all the more interesting.
A lot of it is fun, you know, so, because that's what I'm drawn to. You know, I'm fairly serious, you know, in my dealings with people, but I like humor and I like quirkiness and sarcasm is my middle name. So anything that's totally offbeat and crazy, I sign up for. But personally, I don't judge, you know, whether it's wearable or not.
Talking of judging, one of the things that you do is you're a juror for the ACC, for the American Craft Council.
That's right.
We haven't got much time, but I'd be interested about how that, what can we say about them? We'd like to know how to get into things, right? Let's break it down to the reality, like, you know. As
Right. I would say the quality of work, always, the quality of work has to be really top notch. You have to know what you're doing and your work needs to be of good quality, right? And then I suggest that you are really unique in your expression in what it is that you do. That it's not approaching something that's fashionable at the moment. I would not suggest that you create work that is fashionable at any time. Trend-based, no, I would not suggest that. I would always suggest that people really make the work that they are called.
Is this specific to ACC or just in general?
In general.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. And then, how long do you look at each of those photos when?
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly, because it's a huge amount of data.
Yeah.
And I've seen so much work,
Yeah.
really, that I can make a pretty quick decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are really worried about their photography, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Photography is important because in most cases it's the only way people really have a chance to look at your work. Most of us will never see your work in person, so you have to have really good photography. However, I'm able to look past shitty photography, and if I see that the work is actually really good, it's just, you know,